Weighed down by sorrow for a terrible act he never meant to commit, the great hero Hercules came before his cousin, King Eurystheus. "To atone for your guilt," the king said with a wicked smile, "you will perform 10 labors in my service. The first, bring me the hide of the invulnerable Nemean Lion." Hercules left the city of Mycenae, armed with his trusty bow and a gnarled club made from an olive tree. His heart was heavy, but his will was made of iron. He traveled for days through harsh, rocky lands, following the trail of destruction left by the beast. At last, in a desolate clearing, he saw it. The Nemean lion was larger than any bull, with a coat that shone like molten gold in the sun. Hercules drew his bow and fired his sharpest arrow. With a metallic clang, the arrow bounced off the lion's hide, completely harmless. Undeterred, Hercules drew his bronze sword and lunged at the beast. The blade shattered against the lion's side as if it were glass. With a roar of frustration, Hercules grabbed his club and brought it down on the monster's head. The wood splintered, but the lion merely shook its head, annoyed. The lion, bored with the fight, retreated to its lair, a deep cave carved into the rock. Hercules followed it cautiously and discovered the lair had 2 entrances. A bold idea formed in his mind: if weapons were useless, he would have to use his wits and his strength. With a superhuman effort, Hercules tore huge boulders from the ground and dragged them to one of the cave entrances, sealing it completely. Now the beast had no escape. It could only exit through the opening where Hercules was waiting. Tossing aside his now useless weapons, Hercules entered the gloom of the cavern. The lion turned, snarling, surprised to see its prey follow it. Without hesitation, Hercules lunged forward and wrapped his mighty arms around the beast's neck. The struggle was terrible. The lion's claws could not scratch the hero's skin, protected by the gods, and the lion's strength was no match for Hercules's. With one last immense effort, Hercules tightened his grip until the great beast's heart stopped beating. Lifting the enormous carcass onto his shoulders like a cloak, Hercules began the long journey back to Mycenae. The village people fled at the sight of him, stunned by the strength of the man who carried such a fearsome monster. When Eurystheus saw Hercules arrive with the lion, he was so terrified that he hid in a large bronze jar. Hercules, left alone, realized that no blade could cut the magical hide. Using the only tool sharp enough, one of the lion's own claws, he skinned the beast and wore its hide as an impenetrable armor, a trophy of his first great labor. Now, let's move on to a few interesting words from that story. If you are learning English, some of these words might be new or a little difficult. Don't worry, we will explain what they mean and how to use them, so you can boost your English vocabulary. Let's begin. The hero, Hercules, felt deep sorrow, great sadness, because he did a terrible act, a very bad action, he did not want to commit to do. He went to King Eurystheus, who showed a wicked smile, an evil smile. The king said Hercules must atone for his guilt, fix his mistake and stop feeling bad about it, by doing 10 very difficult jobs called labors. To perform these labors means to do them. The first job was to get the hide, the skin, of the Nemean lion, which was invulnerable, impossible to hurt. Hercules left the city of Mycenae. He carried 2 weapons. The first was his trusty bow. A trusty thing is something you can trust because it works well. A bow is a weapon shaped like a curved stick used to shoot arrows. The second weapon was a club. A club is a thick, heavy stick used for hitting things. This club was gnarled, meaning it was rough, twisted, and bumpy, and it came from an olive tree. Hercules felt heavy in his heart, very sad, but his will was made of iron. This means his determination, his strong decision to do the work, was very, very strong. He traveled for many days across harsh lands. Harsh means the ground was rough, rocky, and difficult to cross. He followed the path of destruction, the ruin and damage, the dangerous lion left behind. Finally, Hercules found the lion in a desolate clearing. A desolate clearing is an empty, sad, and lonely open space in the trees. He saw the Nemean lion. It was bigger than a bull, a large cow, and its coat, fur, shone, was very bright, like molten gold. Molten means heated until it becomes liquid. Hercules quickly took his bow, the weapon for shooting arrows, and shot his sharpest arrow. When the arrow hit the lion's hide, skin, it made a loud metallic clang, a sharp ringing sound like metal hitting metal. The arrow did not hurt the lion at all. It was completely harmless, did no damage. Hercules was undeterred. This means that even though the arrow did not work, he did not lose his courage or stop trying. He took his bronze sword and lunged at the beast. To lunge means to jump or move forward suddenly to attack. The beast is the large, wild animal, the lion. But his sword shattered against the lion's side. It broke into many pieces, like glass. Hercules felt frustration and let out a roar, a loud, deep sound, like a lion's sound, showing he was angry. He grabbed his club, the heavy stick, and brought it down on the monster's head. The wood splintered, broke into thin, sharp pieces, but the lion was not hurt. It only shook its head, feeling annoyed, a little bit angry or bothered. The lion became bored with the fight and retreated, moved back and went away to its lair. A lair is the secret, safe place where a wild animal lives, like a home. This one was a deep cave cut out into the rock. Hercules followed the lion, moving cautiously, very carefully. He discovered that the lair had two entrances, two ways to go in. A bold idea, a brave and daring plan, came to his mind. Since weapons were useless, did not work and were not helpful, he knew he would have to use his wits, his intelligence and cleverness, and his great strength, physical power. Hercules made a superhuman effort. This means he used power that was much greater than a normal human's strength. He used this great strength to pulled off violently, huge boulders, very large rocks from the ground. Then he pulled with great effort, these boulders to one of the cave's entrances. He used them to seal it completely. To seal means to close something very tightly so nothing can get in or out. Now the beast, the lion, had no escape, no way to leave. It could only exit through the single opening where Hercules was waiting. Hercules threw away his weapons because they were useless, not helpful. Then, he entered the gloom of the cavern. The gloom is the darkness, or the sad, dim light inside the cave. A cavern is another word for a large cave. The lion turned quickly, snarling. Snarling means making a deep, angry, threatening sound with teeth showing. The lion was surprised to see its prey, the animal it hunts to eat, which in this case was Hercules, following it. Without hesitation, without stopping or thinking twice, Hercules lunged forward, moved forward quickly to attack. He wrapped his mighty arms around the beast's neck. Mighty means very powerful and strong. The struggle, the fierce, difficult fight, was terrible, very difficult and violent. The lion's sharp claws could not scratch Hercules' skin because the hero was protected by the gods, kept safe by the powerful gods. The lion's strength was no match for Hercules's. This means the lion was much weaker than Hercules. With one last immense effort, a very, very big use of power, Hercules tightened his grip, squeezed harder with his arms, until the great beast's heart stopped beating. The lion died. Hercules won the fight. He was picking up the enormous carcass, the dead body of the animal, and putting it onto his shoulders. It looked like a cloak, a piece of clothing worn over the shoulders. Then, Hercules began the long journey back to the city of Mycenae. When the village people saw him, they fled, ran away quickly, because they were stunned. To be stunned means to be very surprised, shocked, and confused. They were stunned by the great strength, physical power, of the man who carried such a fearsome monster. A fearsome monster is a scary and terrifying creature. When King Eurystheus saw Hercules arrive with the lion, he was so terrified, very, very scared, that he went to a place where he could not be seen, in a large bronze jar, a container made of metal. Hercules was left alone. He realized, understood, that no blade, no sword or knife could cut the magical hide, the skin of the lion. He found the only tool that was sharp enough, one of the lion's own claws, the sharp, curved nails on the animal's foot. Using the claw, he skinned the beast, took the hide off the body. He then put on, the hide as impenetrable armor. Impenetrable means nothing can get through it or hurt him. This was his trophy, a prize to show he won, from his first great labor, difficult task. That was the first of the 10 labors. Hercules now has his special, strong lion armor. Are you ready for the next challenge? Next time, we will learn about the second labor, the terrible Lernaean Hydra. Don't miss it. Watch the next video here.